The top 3 biggest bond ETFs control hundreds of billions of dollars, yet most people misunderstand how powerful they actually are. That's why in the first part of this video, we'll go through the essential facts and key performance info for all 3 of them as of 2026. Then in the second part, we'll look at the top 2 mistakes from my 13 years of bond investing experience. To compare the bond exchange traded funds, we'll look at what they track, assets under management, the yield and return over the last 5 years, expense ratio, average duration and effective maturity, the price and how to buy it, holdings, and lastly, the main reason investors choose it. Please be aware that all the data is from big trustworthy companies such as Vanguard, BlackRock, and Seeking Alpha as of the time this video was made in 2026, and this is not financial advice. Let's start with the biggest of them all, the Vanguard Total Bond Market ETF, ticker BND. It's widely considered the core benchmark for US fixed income investing. It tracks the Bloomberg US Aggregate Float Adjusted Index, giving exposure to over 15,000 bonds, including US Treasuries, mortgage-backed securities, and high-grade corporate debt. This ETF is entirely US-focused and investment-grade, meaning it avoids high-yield, junk bonds and prioritizes stability. What makes BND stand out is its role as a one-stop shop bond portfolio by effectively mirroring the entire US bond market. For many investors, it functions as the fixed income backbone of a diversified portfolio. Next, we'll look at the assets under management, which is currently over $151 billion on Vanguard's official fund page, making it the largest bond fund here and one of the largest fixed income funds in the world. Some third-party sites show a lower figure based on ETF market cap, but Vanguard's own total net assets figure is the more complete number to use for the fund itself. Performance-wise, it's not exactly designed to be exciting, but that's not their main purpose, because the real advantage with bond investing is having stable, very low-risk passive income and portfolio diversification away from stocks. Most of BND's returns come from its high dividend yield, rather than from its share price increasing over time. Over the last 5 years, leading to early 2026, the return is minus 12.6%, with an average annual return of minus 2.51%, according to Seeking Alpha's website. So why has the return been negative over recent years? Well, that doesn't mean it's a bad investment. It's just that over the last 5 years, we've seen rising interest rates in the US, which have an inverse relationship with bond prices. So when rates rise, bonds with lower coupons decrease in value. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates to fight inflation, but bond prices then fell. However, interest rates move in cycles, rising and falling over time, so it's nothing to be concerned about. Also, the current trailing 12-month yield is 3.92%, and it's paid monthly. Most investors hold bonds for their stable, low-risk monthly income, rather than trying to profit from rising share prices. The expense ratio is extremely low at 0.03%, meaning investors pay about $3 per year for every $10,000 invested. Expected returns for bonds are lower than those for stocks, so keeping fees as low as possible matters even more. Its market price is around $75 per share as of early 2026. You can buy it through major brokers such as Vanguard, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab. Next, we'll look at the average duration, basically measures the price sensitivity of the bond to interest rate changes. It shows us how much the price moved for a 1% change in interest rates. For example, BND has an average duration of 5.8 years, so if interest rates rise by 1%, then it will probably lose around 5.8% of its value. The opposite usually happens if interest rates fall. For every 1%, it can increase by around 5.8%. Moving on, we have the average effective maturity, which is 8 years. It shows us the average amount of time until the bonds in the portfolio repay their principal, and it's often confused with average duration as they sound similar. Be aware that individual bonds return their initial investment amount, or principal. They do so at the individual bond maturity date. However, BND is a bond exchange-traded fund, therefore it doesn't mature. Instead, it continuously sells bonds near maturity and buys new ones to maintain its target average maturity or duration. All bond exchange-traded funds track a portfolio of bonds, which means their market prices change daily. For example, if you purchased a $10,000 bond at issuance and held it till its maturity date, you would get the $10,000 back unless the issuer defaults. However, a bond exchange-traded fund like BND constantly sells bonds nearing their maturity and buys new ones, which means you're not able to get the amount you initially invested upon maturity. As a result, the price is impacted by market events, particularly interest rates, which means it's better suited for investors holding for the long term over at least 1 year. And lastly, here's why this fund is the most popular bond ETF. The first reason is diversification. BND gives investors exposure to more than 11,000 US investment-grade bonds, so you are not relying on a single issuer, sector, or maturity bucket. It has more than 65% in US government and agency bonds, which are considered high quality. The rest consists of high-quality corporate bonds rated BBB or higher. In total, it has more than 17,000 holdings with US Treasuries, mortgage-backed securities, and corporate bonds, aiming for a conservative risk profile. The second reason is the low cost at only 0.03%, and it offers very high diversification. The top holdings are US government and agency bonds at over 65% of the portfolio, which makes it low risk. The second largest is the iShares Core US Aggregate Bond ETF by BlackRock, ticker AGG. According to the iShares website, it tracks an index composed of the total US investment-grade bond market. Similar to BND, it holds treasuries, agency bonds, mortgage-backed securities, and investment-grade corporate debt. As a result, it's very well diversified with more than 13,000 holdings. Moving on, we can see the net assets exceed $140 billion, making it the second largest bond ETF on this list. It's much smaller than BND, but still enormous compared to most ETFs. Regarding the performance, over the last 5 years, it returned minus 13.47%, which is close to BND, and is expected as both funds are similar. The trailing 12-month yield is 3.94%, and it's paid monthly, which is almost identical to BND. Meanwhile, the expense ratio is 0.03%, which is the same as BND. Next, the average duration is 5.76 years as shown here on the iShares website, and the average duration to maturity is 8.05 years. The price is around $100 per share, and you can buy it through many brokers, including Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and Interactive Brokers. For investors who care about trading liquidity, AGG is also among the most heavily traded bond ETFs. So, why is this fund so popular? Well, firstly, it's one of the most established bond ETFs, so spreads are generally tight, and trading liquidity is efficient. Also, it offers broad diversification at very low cost, making it suitable as a long-term core holding. It holds mostly US Treasury bonds at over 46% of the portfolio, and is a popular low-risk option with wide diversification. The third largest is the iShares 0 to 3 month Treasury bond ETF, ticker SGOV, which is very different from the other broad bond market funds on this list. The reason is that it focuses only on very short-dated US Treasury securities with remaining maturities of 3 months or less. iShares says it tracks the ICE 0 to 3 month US Treasury Securities Index. So, in practice, this fund behaves much more like a Treasury bill than a traditional bond fund. That makes it one of the lowest credit risk bond ETFs on the market, as the US government backs its holdings. Another important point is that it pays monthly distributions, which makes it particularly attractive for investors who want regular income while keeping interest rate risk very low. The fund launched in May 2020 and has since become one of the fastest growing Treasury ETFs in the market. Next, the assets under management are about $80 billion, which is a huge figure for such a short duration Treasury fund. Looking at performance, the 5-year return was 0.57% according to Seeking Alpha. For a fund holding only ultra-short US Treasuries, that's not too bad considering the price barely moves compared with longer duration bond ETFs. More significantly though, the yield is 4%, which is impressive, and the payments are monthly. The expense ratio is 0.09%, which is higher than the 0.03% from the top two on this list, but still low overall and quite reasonable for a highly liquid Treasury ETF. Next, the average duration is only 0.1 years, which is far lower than the other two on this list, as you can see here on the iShares website. Meanwhile, the average duration to maturity is also 0.1 years. Its price is about $100, and you can buy it through major brokers such as Fidelity, Charles Schwab, and Interactive Brokers. Investors choose it primarily for very short-dated US Treasuries, which makes its credit risk extremely low compared with corporate bond ETFs. The second reason is minimal interest rate risk. Because the holdings mature in 3 months or less, the fund is far less sensitive to rate changes than intermediate or long-term bond funds. That means investors can earn yield without taking much duration risk. The next reason is that it works very well as a cash alternative. Many investors use SGOV as a place to park money they may need soon, while still earning more than a typical bank savings account. And finally, the monthly distributions make it especially appealing to income-focused investors seeking a very steady, predictable payout profile. The first major bond investing mistake is failing to recognize interest rate risk and to understand that when bond prices fall, interest rates rise. Beginners typically only look at interest payments or the coupon rate, as it's commonly known. However, you must be aware that bond market values change, and it's very difficult to predict interest rates. Beware of selling bonds prior to their maturity if interest rates have already risen, as that will likely lead to a loss. However, by holding the bond to maturity, you can get the principal back and help offset the risk that the price could decline. Secondly, bonds are not without risk, as the bond issuer can default on principal repayments. Also, you should know that higher default risk usually comes with higher yields, like with corporate bonds, for example. Be careful with high interest rate bonds, also known as junk bonds. You must do additional research on the issuer with lower rated bonds. Investing in bonds with lower credit ratings to get more income increases the likelihood of default, meaning the issuer cannot repay principal. Always check credit ratings and diversify to avoid investing only in high-risk bonds. AAA represents the top rating. However, rating agencies are not always accurate, so make sure you research the bond before investing. Because bonds usually move inversely to stocks, they help create a balanced portfolio, with many investors choosing an allocation of around 70% stocks and 30% bonds. A popular rule many investors use is to subtract your age from 120. For example, if you're 20, you wouldn't have anything allocated to bonds. However, if you're 30, you would look to have around 10% invested. I've invested in Vanguard bonds for over a decade as they add stability and diversification to my portfolio. Please be aware that it's just a general rule of thumb many people use, and nothing in this video is financial advice. The best bond ETF is not the biggest, cheapest, or the one with the best recent returns. Instead, it's the one that fits your investment goals, risk tolerance, and portfolio. Now that you know what the biggest 5 bond ETFs are, you'll want to balance your portfolio with dividend ETFs, so make sure you watch this video about the top 5 biggest dividend ETFs next. Also, feel free to click the like button and subscribe if you found value from the video. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video.